I think everyone would agree the Big Ten was as good a league as there was, in quite some time, and maybe the best the conference has ever been.
And joining me now here on a Big Ten Network chat, Chris Collins, the head coach of Northwestern. And Chris, as practice begins, especially in the first week to 2 weeks, what are the most important things that you need to get accomplished as a head coach?
Yeah, I think anytime you start a new season, it's, mastering the little things, the things players don't necessarily want to do, especially, when we have a veteran team. We have 7 of our top 8 guys back from last year, guys that have been in the program multiple years. Sometimes those guys don't want to start from the beginning, and do the shell drills and do the rebounding drills and the little things that help you win. And I think sometimes as a coach, you got to understand, even though a season is a new season, you gotta approach it as a new start. And so making sure you master the little things, the footwork, the fundamentals, the concepts, and kind of build over time over these 30 practices to get your team ready to play your first game.
In comparison to what your dad did in the NBA, is you basically got a week to 10 days and then bam, you're into games. I mean, how would you compare that kind of prep time that college basketball has versus the NBA?
Yeah, fortunately for us, we get a little bit more time. We'll have the 2 opportunities, with exhibition versus a close scrimmage, whatever you want to do there. But we do have about a month to 6 weeks to kind of really lock into our practices, take a look at rotations, kind of get your team in order, tinker with some different things, get in really good shape, hopefully conditioning wise. And it's helpful. Obviously the players want to play games. They going back to my playing roots, you don't like to be in a so-called training camp for too long. You want to play. So, making sure these guys are getting the work they need, getting your offense and defensive schemes in line. And fortunately, we do have a little bit of time to get ourselves ready before November hits.
So what'd you learn most about you and this team when it was such a roller coaster last year? We had an amazing start, that win at Indiana. And then there was the losing skid, sort of a high, the low. I mean, what'd you learn about managing something like that?
Yeah, it's never easy to go through extended losing streaks. I think everyone would agree the Big Ten was as good a league as there was, in quite some time, and maybe the best the conference has ever been. I've heard the older coaches say that. We got off to a great start, had some big wins, really hit a gauntlet of games where we played the best teams in the league kind of twice and over a span of 10 to 12 games. And we got knocked back. We weren't able to win those games. We hit an extended skid. Our guys got a little bit down. We lost some confidence. I think the main thing I saw was the resilience of this group, though. They hung together. They kept coming to practice. They kept working. They kept fighting. We found a way to win our last 3 games. We gave ourselves a little bit of momentum finishing the year. And then they stuck together, and as you guys are seeing with the amount of transfers you see now and the instant eligibility at other places, this group now, we've kind of brought them together as young players. We've gone through some growing pains. We've had some good wins. We've had some losing streaks, some tough times. And I really was proud of this group this spring of saying, you know what, we're going to stay the course. We believe in each other. We like each other. We want to win. We believe we can win. And they're back, and now we're an older group, and I'm excited to see what we can bring. And hopefully those experiences from last year, the wins, but also the losing streak, that can really help us as we come into this season.
I don't think we can put a point total or undersell how critical not having fans can be to contributing really to a potential defeat. And I look at your group as an example where maybe obviously it's not number 1 in the Big Ten in terms of environment, but there were games last season at home with your group that you just needed that little extra push, and there was nothing. And there was no just added energy to get you guys across the finish line. When you take a step back and see just, what that was like, how much do you think that potentially, not as an excuse, but really was a minor difference sometimes in a couple of points?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think for every team, the home environment, maybe adds 6 points, 5 points, whatever you want to say. You can't really put a number on it. But when you're playing at home, you get your fans, the comfort of being there, that environment, it helps the home team. And no one really had that. I thought we were affected by it as well as other places. But I think it can be a growth for us to understand coming into those games, like you had to really rely on each other. And sometimes it didn't work out. Like you said, sometimes, like you said, relying on a crowd to help you through and it wasn't there. Like you got to be tough in your own right as a group. You got to get in those huddles. you got to stop runs when teams are making runs at you, or when you get to those last 5 minutes and you need to get the stops, or you need to get the buckets late. Hopefully that experience will help us going into this year. And, if you learn from it, if you grow from it, it can be a big help. And our guys have had a great offseason. I'm really proud of how they've approached it. And I'm excited to get the fans back in the building, though. I think it's going to be a fun team to watch, and getting our students back at the games, getting our fans, I think it'll give us that edge, hopefully, that we need as we head into the conference.
All right, last thing. You rattled off the veterans. Whether it's Pete or Boo or Ryan or now Chase, who is a Northwestern veteran, Robbie Barron. I could go down the list of these guys. They've been there. What have you seen here early in this group that gives you even more optimism about, how these guys are basically coming together and ready to just break through?
Yeah, I've been most impressed with how the approach of the older guys, you mentioned all those guys, and it's about winning. That ever since we hit the spring and the season ended, the guys said, we're going to stick together. We're going to figure this thing out. We're going to find a way. They talk about is winning. And that's been the number one goal in all the practices, all the workouts, all the meetings. And I think they realize that, if we all come together and we find a way to break through and get into that mix and have a chance to vie for postseason, everybody will get credit. Everybody will get praise. And we've had great leadership, and hopefully I just see a difference in their bodies too. They're just older. We finally have a number of players that are in their third and fourth years of college, and they've played a lot of Big Ten games. And hopefully that experience and their togetherness and being united the way they've been will really pay off for us as we head into the season.
Appreciate it, Chris. Look forward to seeing you in person.
Thanks, man.